Hi, I'm Peggy with Headshots by Peggy Presents, and today I'm here with Mike Kimmel, and we are going to have so much fun.
Yes, we are.
I'm so glad that you're here. Gosh, it was before the pandemic since I've seen you. It's been a while.
It was. I'm glad to be here, glad to be back, and glad to participate in the show. You do such a great job interviewing people, and just had so much fun last time. I said, boy, what could be so much fun again? Boy, do something in the past that was fun before, do it again, and it'll still be fun.
Exactly. There you go. So I don't know if they can see your cool trophy here.
I hope so.
But you've been busy writing books, not just acting, but you teach,
Yes,
and
ma'am.
you've been doing some really cool stuff. So tell us about all your
Thank
cool
you.
stuff.
Well, this was my first one, Scenes for Teens, that
And
we talked about last time.
so not only did we talk about this last time, but I use this for Lev all the time.
Good.
They're 17 now, but they
Wow.
were like 14, 15,
Wonderful.
12 even auditioning.
Wonderful.
And it's really hard to find monologues for young kids that doesn't make the parents cringe.
That's the idea. That's the idea.
But it's still relevant and fun.
Yeah.
They want something that's not like 5-year-old, but it's relevant, but it's not cringy. So that's
clean, where parents don't have to hover over the kids and make
or
sure
or
not doing
like, okay,
crazy.
we have to explain this to you now, like that talk.
I try I have a goal of simplifying and demystifying the entertainment industry for newcomers who are breaking into the biz. And when I was a little young kid back in the Bronx, I really wanted to be a child actor, and they didn't have after school centers or arts programs like that, like they have all over the place or online now. So I was looking for things like this, and now I'm writing them for teenagers, and for actually my new one is for adults.
It's for an adult, and this one won this cool award.
Yes, ma'am. There's the one that won the award, the Best Indie Book Award, and that's the award right there. And just thrilled beyond belief. But the idea was always to write material that's clean and also has uplifting, positive, inspirational messages written between the lines as subtext. So that's
kind of like after school specials. And
just like after school specials. Why not? I like that. I have to write them a letter. By
the way, that's really cool. So you're still teaching? Are you teaching through Zoom now? What's going on?
Through Zoom, and I got students in right now just LA and Texas and New Mexico. So I got the tri-state area.
The tri-state area,
so
which
is good. Yeah, as long as they can figure out which time zone they're in, we can zoom in, and it's nice. Sometimes students have an audition to prep for, so we'll do a little bit of that too. We'll use some of the material from my books and other modern stuff, and try to make it applicable to the real world and get them out there reading and auditioning, and some exercises to make them really, really comfortable. Real world stuff.
So is your class mainly audition focused? Is it
Good question. See, I think this is a radical stuff there. Okay. I think everything is audition focused, because I think if you go for training in any other field like welding, if you just imagine comparing welding to acting, but if you had teachers who just taught you principles of welding and the theory of welding and never taught you how to get a job as a welder, you'd end up there with a nice certificate and pretty disappointed. And I had so many friends over the years who just did years and years and years of training, and they're brilliant actors, and they would say to me, oh my gosh, if I do one more scene study class, my head's going to explode. And at some point you have to take it and apply it to the real world. So I love to work on material that's going to help, and techniques that's going to help people get a job and build their credits and resumes.
Well, and honestly, auditioning is the job of an actor.
It is. That's the hard part.
That's the only. I think what's hard about it is that you don't get paid for your actual job. Like once you book a job, that's the fun part.
Absolutely. And I shouldn't even say. I rewind. I shouldn't even say it's the hard part. I say the acting part. Who said this? Great actor said the acting part I would do for free. But I think it was Morgan Freeman said, but the auditioning part, that's the tough part, to try to get to the point where, not even to the audition, but to get in the door to where they'll give you the opportunity. And so that's part of what we work on.
Yeah, and that it's really true. Auditioning is your job. You have to come, show up. And beyond that, I think Stephen Tobolowsky said that's the
Oh boy,
only time you're guaranteed to do this role.
that's true.
And you
It's a
have an
good one.
audience of at least one, and
Mhm.
usually 4 or 5 that are going to watch you do the thing you love to do. You
Yep.
get to act.
Yep.
You just don't get paid for it until they book you.
And we always say the job is yours to win or lose right there.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
And
even playing field.
and as we all know, it could be something really not
Oh
even that
gosh,
you're
yeah.
a bad actor, you just didn't book that role, you weren't a
Oh
fit.
gosh, yeah. Yeah.
You could do the audition beautifully, so you just have to really be ready for that audition when it
Mhm.
comes. And I think
Mhm.
that's something that actors forget, that they should be, whether they're getting tons of auditions
Yeah.
or only a handful of auditions, they should be practicing
All the
auditioning
time.
every day.
Practicing with
Because
their
then when
friends.
that audition
For
comes
sure.
in, they're ready to walk right in there and
Yep.
do it.
Not only
And
practicing with their friends, practicing for all the little unforeseen, I call them X factors that can pop up
yeah,
in the live audition room. There's so many things that can show up and take an actor off their game, but also just in Zoom when you get a live eco cast and you're waiting for that clock to tick down. Say, what can you do in the meantime, or what can I do to set myself apart? What can I do to show them I'm committed to this role?
mhm.
All those type of things. That one time we had to had to back up and show full length. So I just said, how am I going to do this? So I prepared a little footstool way in the back. So I stepped backwards. I knew how many steps I'd
To go
have to go
back.
backwards, and then stepped up. I said, wow, we could see you full frame. I said, yeah, I put it over there.
Yeah,
Practice it. So
yeah. Finding out, getting all the technical stuff,
yeah, and not being thrown by it, and you don't have to be super techie person. Like you're great with all this stuff, but someone can be not necessarily an expert, but you still practice it.
And that's the key. Anybody can do it if you practice it. And I know in the
Mhm.
beginning of the pandemic, it was like every week I was doing a video because
Wow.
I had so many questions, like, how do you do this? How do you do this? So I was like,
Mhm.
okay, you can do this. Use parchment paper. If you don't have a filter, do this,
Good
Good
idea.
but now I think everybody's kind of got the basics down, but I think they got lazy.
And they stay lazy.
And they say lazy. They're like, okay, I've got the bare minimum down.
So
Instead of thinking like, when I back up, there's all this headroom. What could I do? Oh, if I put a stool here, that would adjust that.
yeah,
So,
yeah.
it's things like that we have to remember not to be lazy and always be, what's going to set me apart? What's going to make me look, a little bit. Merrick's super spoiled because I run the camera.
Oh my gosh. So he's always
Through the
great.
Zoom, we hook up the camera to the computer and, I run the camera. So when they say full body, I just pull out and he doesn't even move. So he's totally spoiled.
That's pretty good.
But it's very rare that you happen to have that, set up. A
For
lot
sure,
of times you're in
for
your
sure.
bedroom or your dining
Mhm.
room or, you just have to make it work. But there's things you can do
Absolutely.
to make it better.
Absolutely. People can buddy up with friends and things like
absolutely.
that, and they can have the Zoom set up, and they can have a friend on the phone or even FaceTiming with them
Yeah.
off to the side, right? Always making sure it's off to one side of the camera. Then nice little tip, if you're talking to two different people,
Mhm.
right? You put one on one side of the camera, one on the other side, and you go left to right or right to left, and make sure you don't stop to look right in the camera, like my old buddy, whose name I won't say, did. And then go there to there, there to there, there, and that.
Yeah.
2 different points. And if you don't have that, a little post-it
Well,
note works
post
great.
it, something,
Yes,
just
ma'am.
something, stare at the dot on the wall, whatever it
Mhm.
is that you have to figure out. But
Oh, I
there's
spent many years staring at a dot
dot
on
in
the
the
wall.
wall.
I'm telling you. That's how we used to train back in the Bronx.
That's funny. Look at the dot in the wall.
We have to keep going. If you stop having fun, I say that's the time when you got to put on the brakes and say, you know what, time to take a little break.
Time to take a break.
Yeah, but otherwise, I think people should stay committed and stay focused, and at least keep doing something incrementally, step by step, for their career, either training or to build their credits every day.
How important is it for actors to have a monologue ready?
I think it's important. I think it's important. Maybe not so much so here in Los Angeles. Well, no, I shouldn't say that, because they say traditionally it's for theater actors, but a lot of agents will ask for that when you walk in the door. They'll
They
ask
want it.
for an agent meeting, especially for the younger crowd.
Mhm.
So they like to see them, and it's nice to have something that they haven't seen 1,000 times before. And I like to put in a little uplifting message or something that ding makes them think a little bit, makes them reflect a little bit. And if you can leave the room giving them something to think about, a little bit deeper, a little bit more inspirational, well, they're gonna maybe think of the actor and associate the actor with that positive
Some
feeling.
positive
I
feeling.
think so. I think so.
I'm a anybody that's ever listened to me knows that
Well, I
I'm all about the psychology of
Absolutely.
everything, especially in this
Absolutely.
industry.
Mhm.
You know, everything you do, you should do with intention. You know,
Yeah.
your headshot, the colors you wear, the lighting, everything, the camera angles, everything should be done
I agree.
not to make you look good. I mean, not to make you look pretty, but to send a message to the person
Yes.
that's seeing that. There's a whole
Yes.
psychology behind that. And so I like that you work that into your monologues. You're leaving with a positive, upbeat, even if
Mhm.
like, it's something different they haven't heard before. So they're
Yes.
not like blah, blah, blah,
Something
blah.
brand new,
They're
yeah.
listening, they're engaged because they're
Mhm.
like, oh, this is a new story, a new monologue.
Mhm.
But B, it leaves them with a positive feeling. So whether they decide to sign you with their agency or not, every time they think of you, they have a positive. So maybe in 5 years down the
Connotation,
road,
for
they're
sure.
still going to remember a positive feeling connected with your picture, connected with your name. And it may sound silly, but it's a real thing to
I believe so.
always
believe
to
so.
keep that, because
Yeah.
that's it takes 8 positive interactions to overcome 1 negative
8.
interactions.
Okay.
That's
Oh, that's right.
what
That's
Harvard
right. That's
says. I
right.
don't know if they know
Okay.
anything over at Harvard,
Oh,
but that's
they
what I
know a
heard.
little. They
That's
know a
what I
little.
heard.
Okay.
So that's why I'm like, you're always really think about, how, because you may not get 8
Mhm.
positive, 8 opportunities for,
Yeah.
that,
Not
so
unless
every
not unless you're
time,
the Octomom,
right?
you know.
Get that.
But you have to leave and keep coming back, leave
Yeah.
and keep coming back. But
So
you're right. You're right.
that's
It's
something I
relationship
hadn't thought
building.
about with the
Mhm.
positive, the monologues, is
Yeah.
the fact that a lot of actors that I know, especially that are just starting out, they want to be the bad guy or the real dark, the
Right.
serious. They
Right.
want to
The
be like the
edgy
real edgy, like,
and the cursing.
which there's nothing wrong with that, but
However,
do something different. Like be
Mhm.
the something that sticks out, something that
Mhm.
just has a little different vavoom to it. I
Yeah.
like that.
I like to keep it clean also, even for adults, no curse words, no swear words, because, and some people challenge me on this, but I said, listen, I've never in all my years heard a casting director or agent say, I don't like that guy. He just doesn't curse enough. You know, on the other hand, you can be inappropriate with someone who's very sensitive to that. So there's no upside to putting in that edginess and bad dialogue, and there is a possible advantage to leaving it out. So I say keep it clean. And Groucho Marx said the same thing. May you rest in peace. Thank you, Groucho. So he said he thought that for comedians who put in the blue material, as he called it, he said it's sort of going for the cheap laugh, the easy laugh. And he says it's much more important to go for something more mainstream, family friendly. So that's what I do too.
Well, and I think that says a lot about, like what you said. You can go for the cheap,
Mhm.
thing, or actually put some meat on the bones, and I
Yeah.
think that's really cool.
Very cool.
So, how did you decide to? I know you've been working with the younger. You've got a
Yep.
book out for the really young. You've got a book out for the
Yep.
preteens, and you got a
Yep.
book out for the teenagers.
Yes, ma'am. Scenes and monologues. I go back and
Yeah.
forth a little bit. And right now, this is actually a really interesting story how this came about. My dear friend Susanna Devereaux wrote the foreword for this, and my third book was called Monologues for Teens. Has a picture of a green pencil on the cover, and she wrote a really nice blurb for the back cover. And she just said at the end of her blurb, said, "Now I want you to write some monologues for adults." And it stuck in my mind for a couple of years. I didn't tell her, but I started working on it. And then when the book was close to completion, I called her up. Pring, pring. Hey, Susanna, do you remember when you wrote that blurb? And I said, I finished that book
Finished
and I
it.
would love you to write the foreword for it. So she
Very
did.
cool.
Yeah, it was kind of a blast.
That's really
Kind of a
cool.
blast.
That's really neat.
And she now, actually, the timing was good because she is working on a book of her own. So I'm just kind of giving her just a little bit of guidance through the process. And so when her book is out, it'll be able to link to mine.
Yeah.
They'll see the forward and
Very
this and that.
cool.
So these kind of things help. I think everybody's got a book in.
I it's funny you said that because I got
coming.
this thing in the back of my
It's
head,
coming.
but
Where I'm on.
No, I always talk about networking.
Yes.
And I feel like Hollywood, the industry in general, is all about who you know.
Yes, ma'am.
But yet I feel like actors are really lazy networkers.
Lazy networkers, or it's all about me.
And that's not networking. And I don't believe that help me, look at me. That's not networking. What's networking is
card to 500
yeah, it's you're not a card
Right.
dealer. Like, here's a card, look at me, look at my website, look at my IMDb, look at me. It's more about how can I help you? What are you doing that I can help you with?
Why I like coming here.
You
because I
got
feel
this
like I'm talking to
project.
myself.
You got this project. Oh my God, I would love to get involved in that.
I'll tell you a funny story. I'll tell you two funny stories. Many moons ago, friends of mine were doing a short film and they were talking about it. And I just said, hey, do you need somebody to do craft services? And they said, oh, do you do that? I said, no, I've never done it before in my life. I said, so why are you offering to do that? Because I know how hard this is going to be. And I know that every actor you tell this to is going to be asking for a role, and I just want to be there and help you out. And if there's a role for me, you know me well enough,
right?
I don't have to push myself on you. I don't have to give you my headshot. I'll be right there. And actually, then I'd be right there. And if someone bails out, I can step right in also. But meanwhile, they were friends and just wanted to help them out, and just kept making coffee over and over and over again. I got good at making coffee, but
there you go.
But it was fun. We got to do that. And my networking issue too, just probably like you, I've been in so many of these rooms pre-COVID, of course, where there's 100 people and there's one speaker. And as soon as they end, right, boom, it's like this mad rush to the stage, with the card, trying to give them your elevator speech and trying to connect with the person on the stage.
Meanwhile, 300 people.
Yeah, what they should be doing is talking with the person next to them.
Yeah.
How can I help you? What can we do together?
What do you got doing? What are you doing? Oh, you're looking for a writer? I'm not a writer, but I know this guy,
That's the thing.
And
I do this in my class. I'm getting them all to work. Right now I got a bunch of beginners and they're pretty new and they're talented and they're hungry and they're really on the ball. They're very disciplined and dedicated, but they're new. So I said, well, what do we need? What do we need? And what is nobody getting during COVID? You need credits, you need a resume, you need footage, and you need the experience on set. So I said, let's write our own stuff. Let's shoot our own short films under 10 minutes. And that's what we're working on. And cast your own classmates. And actually, one of the students, Michael Toby Sanchez, is in Albuquerque. And I said, we could do, just because you're in Albuquerque, the other students are in Texas or Los Angeles, they can be in your movie by phone. They can be on, oh, look at that, Uncle Charlie just called. Hey, Uncle Charlie. And Uncle Charlie, blah, blah, blah. So you can do all this stuff.
And you can start, on the screen and then show, the camera off.
All that stuff.
Yeah,
you can have friends of yours on TV in the background, you're watching TV, and those are your other actor friends in another city in a short scene. So these are all great suggestions. I hope you use them.
Yeah.
If you don't use them, we will.
Exactly.
We can all use them.
Exactly. Because, it's really about just, and when you're that person that knows other people, people will remember you. If you're the person that offers to do craft services, they're going to remember you. I get calls.
I can make some pretty good coffee. Can I make you some coffee? I'll clean up. I'm good with the baseboards.
Yeah, you're good with baseboards. We'll talk.
I'm good with baseboards. This place is pretty clean. I'm going to tell you. They get 11 out of a possible 10. So
but yeah, I get people that call me all the time for silly things like, do you know a roofer? I do. Do you know a plumber? I do. Why? Because I know I know that they're going to keep my number.
Yeah.
And then when they need headshots, guess what? Oh, I know who does headshots.
There you go.
Peggy also does headshots, and
That's
she
it.
knows lots of
That's-
people.
For sure, for sure.
So
Keep going.
it's really, I like that. I like that.
It's nice to be helpful. It's the world is round and you just never know. And even if nothing comes back to you right away, or even from that person, that's fine too. So
Yeah.
I say, you know, what's the worst thing they could say about me? That he extended himself and made coffee for his friend's movie.
Right.
All right, terrible thing, you know.
I love it. I love it. So tell me
It's
what,
funny.
because I'm not, I mean, I listen to audiobooks. I don't want you to think I don't know how to read. I do. I read.
There's a secret.
But what is, tell me about this trophy,
Oh my
because this is
gosh,
like an
well,
honor, right? And I put my hand
I'm
here
thrilled, please.
because I know
Yeah,
through
it's
the camera
clear.
you can't, it's
clear.
clear.
That
So
looks pretty good.
yeah, it's
but,
pretty cool. I
but
get to
what we
stay
do,
here.
yeah, what we do is it comes out every year in a variety of categories. This book just won, so I put the badge on the book in the
Nice.
acting book categories. It's fiction and nonfiction they have. But what I do with the books is I say I never think about writing a book. I think about writing a page, or the monologues are 1 to 2 pages. Scenes are also 1 to 2 pages. I think about writing one complete scene or one complete monologue, or just writing a page. And I also try to make it very simple. I give myself a very easy goal every day, a 250 word count every day. That's my goal. It's really easy to hit. 250 words translates roughly into one typewritten page, which is just about a monologue or a scene, give or take. Some days do I not hit it? Yes, I admit it. But for the most part, most times you go.
And there's
well
probably
above
days
and
that
beyond.
you go well, over and beyond.
Yeah, and sometimes for a while I had this goal and I write one monologue or one scene a day, and it was working for a while. Then I ended up not hitting that task. But then what I would do later is I'd have 2 or 3 half-written scenes or half-written monologues, and then they would have to marinate for a while, and then you go back and then you finish them at a later date. So that's the way we do. And I cannot overemphasize the value of incremental steps. I think it's really important for acting, for writing, probably for photography too, right? Who was the famous French photographer the last century? I think he said, your first 10,000 photographs are no good. We have to be willing to do 10,000 bad photographs. But it's a great message. I wish I could remember his name.
I'm thinking that I probably had more than 10,000 bad photographs in my career. I mean, in my life.
By the time you've done
But
them,
you know, I started really young, so I guess that's good. Because now at this age, I think that I'm hitting more than I'm missing. So
That's good.
I mean,
and that's a good message embedded in what you just said, because we still miss.
yeah.
We miss every once in a while, but it's important when we miss, or when we don't connect, or if you have a book that doesn't sell so well, or photography session that doesn't go the way you planned, to say, all right, that was not my best, but I'm going to have plenty of other days when I am at my best. You know, I think people have a tendency to look at the world in terms of all or nothing, black or white. And I say, you know, I think we all live more in different shades of gray. You know, I wasn't at my best that day. I know I'm going to be at my best today, or maybe tomorrow, or close to it. And that's why I think it's so important not to beat up on ourselves when we go wrong, when we mess up, or when we have a misstep, or poor error in judgment. And so I say, you know, we go back.
Did you just come here to preach to me today? Was
Yes,
that?
ma'am. I did. I did. I come here to preach, make the coffee, and clean the baseboards.
Nice. Score for Peggy.
I'm telling you.
No, I that is something that I tend to allow the whole world to live in gray, but I feel like I have to always be perfect.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I feel like I really judge everyone else a lot less. And I guess I'm to the point in my life where, what do they say, like recognizing it is part of the journey.
But ask yourself how you would treat, if you had a twin sister, Peggy version 2, how you would treat her.
Yeah.
If she was a photographer, you were doing something else. What type of consideration would you give her? How would you rate her on those scales? There's going to just be days when the lighting is off, or there's an eclipse outside, or it's overcast in Los Angeles. Even though you got your own lighting, that's going to affect things a little bit, I think. And so we do have to. And
I think just that what you said is what I talk to my best friend, or even another human, the way I talk to myself. Of course I wouldn't.
For sure. For
So
sure.
I think
It's
we all
important.
can take that lesson, and take that to, a little bit of self-care, especially the last couple of years that we've been through. And
Oh, heck yeah.
we're not over it. Like,
Heck yeah.
I feel like 2022 has started off just like with a punch in the gut and a
Really?
slap in the face. I really think 2020,
You
but
know
I
what we're gonna
feel
do?
like
You know what we're gonna do?
a kick
We're gonna
ass.
slap 20 with me. Come
Exactly.
on, we're gonna slap 2022.
Right.
There you go.
I told
2022, you gotta do what we say, not what you say.
I told my friend, I said, I think that like the last couple of years were just like false labor, and
Yeah.
now we're like in it. Like now it's like
I hear
hardcore,
you.
and we're ready to like move some stuff and get some stuff going. Because I feel like
I
it's
get you.
time. Like I know it's not just me. I know a lot of my friends and family are like, what in the world is going on right now?
But
And
that's
I
why
think
they
it's
need
good.
you to uplift
I
them.
think it's,
yeah.
I always think it's a good thing. It's like a rubber band that's being
Yep,
stretched. As long
for
as you
sure.
don't break, you're going to be shot across the
Mhm.
room, instead of, if you give up right here, you just like boom. But if you like take that, like, come on, bring it, let's go. Cause you know that you're going to,
And you
you're
just
gonna-
never know where it's gonna go, where it's
Exactly,
gonna lead you, especially if
exactly.
you're doing something you love.
You may get an
why would I
award-winning
wanna
book
stop? Yeah, why
and a
not?
trophy.
Why not? That's why I think from now on, you know what I'm gonna do? I'll tell you a secret. Shh, don't tell anybody. Don't tell the other writers. Now what I'm doing is I'm gonna leave a bigger space
There you go.
over here for more.
Just so you have
more,
room in the design for more
wiggle. So
awards.
it's up for a
I
couple
like
more
it.
awards, so
I
we'll see
like
what
it.
happens. But it was really just a labor of love doing it, and really like cranking these books out. And I want to see how far I can go with it, how far it takes me.
I love
Yeah.
it. How can people follow you on social media?
Oh gosh, I have a Facebook group, Mike Kimmel Scenes for Teens. I name everything after everything on Facebook anyway. After my first book was very near and dear to my heart, and it took forever. It took 3 years to write this one, and the goal originally was to write one a year, but now I've gotten it up to 2 a year. But at the very beginning, I just didn't really know the strategies that well. It took me a while to figure it all out. But Twitter, at Mike Kimmel author, at Mike Kimmel actor, and at Mike Kimmel author on Instagram, and Facebook, Mike Kimmel Scenes for Teens. I think I got a Pinterest thing floating around too.
Yeah.
That's
You're
about
on
as many as I
Instagram.
can handle
And
on
yeah,
Instagram.
yeah.
So it's
Are
kinda
you on
fun.
TikTok or
No, I
Clubhouse?
think maybe by
or-
default, maybe they throw me
They-
in there.
they just-
Clubhouse, yeah, I kind of like Clubhouse.
I like Clubhouse too.
Listen to that.
I
while I'm driving.
haven't been on as much as I should be lately, but I
It's
do like
okay.
the Clubhouse.
You're on as much as you need to be.
That's true.
You're on as much as you need to.
That's
They
right.
need you more, but I call it the 85% rule. I say at any given time, we've got 85% of the things in our lives that are working relatively well. It's not going to be perfect, but at any given time, 85% of our life is working pretty well. And what do most people tend to
Focus on is the other
15%. Forget about the other 15%. And we can't do everything.
Can't do everything.
Everything great, but we focus on the things that we can do, the things we can do well, and we just try to remember that little by little, the other things, the things that we don't do as well, they kind of fall off by the wayside. Just keep working on what you like to do and what you can do well, and you'll be surprised what a little incremental step every day can do for you.
I like that.
Yes, ma'am.
Thanks for coming and hanging out.
Thank you.
Do you have any last thing you want to say to?
I would just like to say, keep on going, keep on cooking, keep on trucking, and don't stop. And oh gosh, there was a great quote. I want to make sure I get it right, by Marilyn Monroe. And they asked her years ago, they said, what would you say? I said, what would you say, Marilyn, if they told you that 50% of the agents and casting directors in Hollywood, when she first got there, what would you say if they told you 50% of the agents and casting directors said you had no chance and you should give it up? And she said, I would tell them that 100% of them are wrong. So I just love that.
There you go.
You got to believe in yourself, and we can make progress when other people don't believe in ourselves. But if we don't believe in us, then it's a little bit more difficult, and you're always kind of fighting this uphill struggle. And you don't have to.
That's good.
You don't have to.
You don't have to.
Don't listen to the expert. One last story. So I haven't.
You have plenty of time.
I know the tape is very expensive now.
I know, right?
There was a great story about. I always say the experts are not always right.
Uh-huh.
The experts are not always right. So there was a great story about Charlie Chaplin back in, I guess, the late 20s. He was #1 movie star in the world. And I think it was Paramount, held a Charlie Chaplin lookalike contest. So all these guys show up in their outfits. And Charlie Chaplin himself goes into the contest under a fake name. Do you know this one?
Yeah.
So he goes into the contest and Charlie Chaplin comes in third.
Third.
He comes in third place in the Charlie Chaplin lookalike contest. So it's interesting. It's fun. It's a weird story, but think deeper about that. That means, who were the judges? Probably some film experts. They didn't recognize him, and they didn't think he looked the most like himself. 2 errors, and those were the experts.
And the other thing that people, I think, forget is the perception of what people think they want and what they really want are different. So they may say, I want blah, blah, blah. And you're like, well, I'm not really that. I'm kind of more this. Well, somehow you got the audition.
That's right.
So go do it.
And
100%. They may not really know how. They may not know what they really want. So
and
you never.
Some percentage of you is that.
And you know, you may not see that. It may be more of a personality. It may be more of a attitude. It may be more of a emotional thing that you put off.
Absolutely.
More than a look. And so, yeah, I like that.
So you just never know. Just never know. Keep going.
Absolutely.
Especially all right. Especially at auditions, they can. I'll tell you the truth. You see my height and my stature, but I got booked once on a thing. They asked for specifically asked for a guy 6'6" to 6'8", you know, and yes, well over where I am, and so but the premise was. Well, there were 2 detectives who were 6'2", and they wanted a guy kind of scowling and looking down on him, being very aggressive. So I always say, you know, if they're looking for somebody much taller than me, all right, unless he's got to dunk a basketball, I say, what is the essence of what they're trying to do?
Right.
So if I could give that to them in another way,
right, you still the power and being
I book the part. But you think about, I always say, how many guys would say, you know, geez, I'm only 6'4". They wanted a guy 6'6" to 6'8". I don't qualify. I'm not going to read for this one. So you just never know. There's something about each one of us. We're all special and unique. So I think.
And I always say that it's your uniqueness, that your quote unquote flaws that are actually your selling point.
Exactly. And this drives me nuts. What do most actors do when they go to another? What are you looking for? What do you want? Well, so we want somebody who doesn't ask what we want. You know,
we want to be surprised. We want that wow factor. We want,
give them you.
I like that.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, that's, you know, I had a guy that had a lazy eye.
Oh.
And I said, you know, he had just a really cool look. He's a handsome guy, a really cool look, and this very lazy eye.
But you can use
and
that.
I said, I mean, let's call out the elephant in the room. Like, I know all the tricks and techniques. We can hide this. However, let's not hide it. Let's like make it so obvious.
At least have a shot with it.
So and you know, because you can work with this. And he's like, yeah. And then he saw it and he kind of backed out. I think he, you know, self-conscious or, you know, whatever it is. But I right after it was in a meeting with a big agent, and I was like, I just want to show you a headshot. What do you think of this? Oh my God, if this guy walked in, I could get him so many roles. This is awesome. And I'm like, see,
he's different.
It's that look. So a lot of times the thing that you made fun of as a kid, or your self-conscious things, like, don't hide them. Like that's your money. That's your money.
That's your eunice.
Yeah,
absolutely. I agree.
Thanks so much for hanging out with me today.
COVID fist bump.
Yeah, right. I know. We're fully vaccinated people right here.
And the better days are coming soon. You'll see. Take it from us.
Absolutely. So all of his information is going to be in the description, and how you can buy these books, and how you can get into some classes and hang out with him. Make sure that you follow me. And now that we're a podcast, go to wherever you listen to your favorite podcast and follow this, because apparently it's a thing when you have a podcast, you're supposed to have followers. Who knew?
That's good.
Right?
I'll follow you.
Thank you.
Follow me.
All right. Sounds good. Anyway, thanks so much. Remember, sharing is caring, but most of all, have an amazing week. I'll see you next week.
Excellent. Thank you.
Text or call today so that we can get you effective headshots that you can use as part of your marketing strategy. Headshots by Peggy, how can I help you?